88 on the west end of Panama City Beach.
Barbaritos lets you say yes to fresh. If you don't know what to eat or where to get it, well, fret no more. Barbaritos is here to help with its healthy menu, offering 7 meals with less than 500 calories. Barbaritos has lots of healthy options made with farm fresh food. Your health and your family's health matters to us. Come eat healthy at Barbaritos, 23rd Street in the Stanford Station Shopping Center near Academy Sports. Barbaritos, food, community, people.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Can I touch this? Where does sand come from? Is this tree good for climbing? What happens if I mix these two things together? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Storing your guns securely is the best way to prevent family fire, including unintentional shootings. For more information on safe gun storage and ways to keep your family safe, visit endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org.
What do we keep in the attic? What's this thing called? Can I ride my bike backwards?
Like I said, kids are curious. It's up to us to keep them safe. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Sizzling hot weather is here. Time to go shopping in some nice air-conditioned surroundings. I know just the place, that boot store. Ooh, it's nice and cool in here with a scent of real leather. Sweet. The Western surroundings and huge name brand selections will make you want to buy 4 or 5 outfits for the whole family, from the smallest to the largest. And why not? Their prices are the best in the area. Open Tuesday through Friday, 9 to 5. Friday and Saturday, 9 to 5:30. Remember, God is good all the time. That boot store next to Billboard Kia, 15th Street, Panama City.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WTOT, W271DM Mariana, WVLQ Port St. Joe.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Are you ready? Okay, let's begin.
Drip. The Afternoon Underdog Drip. Live and local. Inside the Doghouse.
Unleash the Dragon.
On the Sports Talk Monster. ESPN Northwest Florida.
What's going on, Northwest Florida? You are now in the Doghouse. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs, and you're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We're on 104.3 here in Panama City and 101.9 in Port St. Joe. ESPN Northwest Florida, your home for the Atlanta Braves, who dropped 2 of 3 to the Chicago White Sox. One dramatic fashion on Saturday evening, and then Sunday just was a Dylan Cease day, and the White Sox jumped out to a big lead and never looked back. So the Braves lost their first series in quite a long time, and also did not hit a home run to extend the games that they've played in a row. With a home run, which I believe stopped at 28 or 29. So they'll be back in action tomorrow night. Coverage is going to be starting at 6 o'clock. First pitch at 6:20. They're off this evening. The Atlanta Braves are sponsored locally by Billboard Kia, Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, Mid-South Lumber, Stormore Portable Buildings, and Brock Pest Control. We've got a great show lined up for you this afternoon and a lot of things to get into. We're going to have RJ Starcevic on the line with us here in the following segment. The Crayon 301 ended up going on today. It was postponed yesterday due to some inclement weather, but they got it in today, and we'll find out who the winner was in that Crayon 301 in New Hampshire today in the next segment. At 4:20. Then we'll have a little traffic jam and trivia today at 4:40. Top of hour number 2, we're going to talk with Steve Barnes, senior writer for the RebelWalk.com. We're actually going to have his boss on with us, I believe, Thursday, Evelyn Van Pelt, the founder of the RebelWalk.com. So that should be a lot of fun. She'll be still up there in Nashville. The media days will be wrapping up then, but she's going to stay an extra day in Nashville just to accommodate us, talking to us about what's going on at the media days. And by that time, the media days will be wound down, all the way down, so we'll be able to get into any storyline that may come from everything that's going on But we'll also be talking to Steve Barnes today about what's going on at the SEC Media Days. I believe he's still this side up in Northwest Florida over at Pensacola, but we'll still chat with him. He's been able to keep his eyes on, well, actually had a little occupational therapy today, so hopefully it gets that arm as good, well, as close to normal as it can be. And then 5:20, we're going to be talking with the owner of PCB Hobby, Todd Mueller. Might have a surprise guest along with him as well today. And we'll wrap up this Monday afternoon with some local happenings. We also are going to dive into, of course, DeAndre Hopkins signing with the Tennessee Titans. And then also Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, Drew Pollard. None of those are going to be getting extensions, so they're going to be playing on that $10.01 million franchise tag. God forbid you play for $10 million. Now, don't get me wrong. It's a position.
How can you feed your family?
Right. Now, it is a position that you get whooped at, but we're also seeing, it's just how teams are valuing it. So we'll see what happens in the near future. And then also, if Brian or myself think that they'll end up sitting out ahead of the season. And then Dak Prescott. Got a little question for you on Dak Prescott. Make sure to like and share the Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube page, and then go download the ESPN Northwest Florida app. Just go to your Google Play Store or your Apple App Store, type in 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. And you can also give us a call or text throughout today's show, 850-215-6290. We're going to have the blast at Bay Point today at 5:40, so make sure you got your phones ready. Be caller number 10. If you are caller number 10, we'll put you on the air. We'll play a little high-low. And what we're looking for today is how many takeout orders Barbaritos on 23rd Street had last Saturday night. How many takeout orders did Barbaritos on 23rd Street have last Saturday night? At 5:40, you'll hear the cue to call. Be caller number 10. If you guess the number correctly, you and a guest will win 18 holes at the beautiful Bay Point Golf Club, the Nicholas course right here in Panama City Beach. And if you don't get it right, you will get a consolation prize of a large bucket of balls on the driving range. I actually played Bay Point yesterday, Brian.
Well, I didn't get my invite.
Yeah, I know. Sorry about that.
I was 6 hours away, but...
man, you could have hustled back. It's funny you say 6 hours. So I pulled up, and the cart guy, Steve, was like, man, I've heard you on the radio a time or two, and so we've hooked you up with a 24 balls. Hopefully you can just come back with one or so. So I ended up not using all 24 of the balls, probably somewhere over a dozen, though. Over a dozen. Not a great round. I was, the last 3 times that I've played have been well into the 100, like 114, 116, I believe it was yesterday.
You're looking at this the wrong way.
Right.
You shot 114.
16, I believe, yesterday.
116, which means you got way more bang for your buck than people who go out and just shoot 72, 73.
Exactly.
You probably got to see more of the course than they do.
Yes, I even got to see some backyards.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it was a great time. Beautiful course over there at Bay Point. So make sure y'all are ready today at 5:40 for your chance, for you and a guest, to win 18 holes at the Nicholas course in Bay Point Golf Club. All right, DeAndre Hopkins, me and you are both Tennessee Titans fans, signing a 2-year, $26 million base salary of $12 million in the first year, and it could reach all the way up to $15 million with incentives. Your thoughts? When you saw this news, what was your first reaction?
Well, I had heard, the lead up, and obviously it sounds good. Anytime you get a talented receiver with experience like that, I mean, that was the biggest issue with letting go of A.J. Brown. It's like, yeah, you can say we hope Treylon Burks will develop into that, and he's a cheaper option, but he's nowhere near that yet. Mm-hmm. So that really hurt the Titans, cost GM his job, and I do think, played a part in the Titans not reaching a lot of their goals was not having that good, experienced, high-level wide receiver. Hopkins can be that. Now, I do believe he's a little past his prime, but still, I think where he is a welcome addition. The problem is still, I always sound like I hate Ryan Tannehill. I don't hate Ryan Tannehill. He gave more to the Titans than I ever thought he would have. I've just seen this story before. So the question I will ask still is, who's getting him the ball? And, if Tannehill has a great year, I'm happy to eat crow. I'm just still not terribly confident in the quarterback setup.
Right.
Levis is too young. Willis, they've thrown to the side.
Right.
And Tannehill's Tannehill's.
And that's the not the overwhelming issue. For me, there's a very strong drop-off from Tannehill to Malik Willis and Will Levis.
Oh, God,
So your best opportunity to win is still Ryan Tannehill, and the bigger question that remains is, can he get you over that hump? And that's yet to be seen, but it's also not looked to go in his favor at all.
Here's my other worry is Tannehill a couple of years ago was playing under a significantly stronger offensive line than he will be this year. That's my real worry.
So many unknowns with this offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, look, when you had a healthy and informed Taylor Lewan, covering
Conklin.
you there. I mean, Conklin, he's been gone several years now, but he was a rock. It's just not the same line, and that affects not just Derrick Henry, but also the time that Ryan Tannehill has, and he's not getting more fleet of foot in his advanced stage. So, I have worries. Now, that being said, you add a guy with a skill level of Hopkins in there, and he might be able to do a lot of yards after catch kind of stuff where you hit him on quick slants, dump outs, whatever. I mean, that's not necessarily the type of receiver he's been, but I would imagine he's able to adjust his game. He seems fairly well-rounded. So I look forward to it. I do think it's a good addition. Is it going to be like the last piece of the puzzle? No, I don't think so, but it helps.
Is it? I guess my favorite part about it is that there is a puzzle. There is a puzzle. They're not. You know what I mean, though?
No, I do.
It felt for so long that the Titans are either in this rebuilding without admitting that they're rebuilding, or they just don't know the direction that they're going. I think when the Titans aren't a team that likes to spend money like that. When you invest $13 million into a guy, essentially, I think that it shows there's some yearning for success in 2023.
So in the offseason, I would say we thought the Titans aren't trying to finish a puzzle. Like they don't even have one because they had no idea what they wanted to do. And then they get to the draft, and I think they finally had an idea. And then Levis slips out of the first round, and it's like, no, now we're going to build this puzzle. So now they got too darn many of them to figure out. So, I mean, it's just, it's a team that's reacting instead of being proactive to me. Now, the Levis thing could end up being a blessing. I mean, I honestly think had Levis not fallen out of the first round, they were going to take Hendon Hooker late second or possibly a third round pick.
Right.
And I think that would have been just fine. I think that was their plan. But didn't work out that way, and now they've changed some things. The upside is much higher with Levis.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes, but I do get worried as a Titans fan with it just seems like they're reacting to the circumstances around them instead of planning and developing and working on a program. And with that, you can hit occasionally, but it's very chaotic, and your results are going to be all over the place.
Yeah, it's interesting, and we've seen now Julio Jones, we've seen Andre Johnson, we've seen Randy Moss walk through those Titans doors and become a Tennessee Titan. So my question to you is, will this time be different?
I don't think Hopkins is as far beyond his best football as most of those were.
That's a good point. He's only 31 at this point.
But we're going to find out.
Right.
And that's the thing. I don't know that I thought Julio was as spent as he was when he came in. Moss was still Moss, but we were well beyond his prime.
But it's still Randy Moss, baby.
I'll take an out-of-shape Randy Moss over an in-shape just about anybody else.
Right.
But that being said, I don't believe Hopkins is as far along like that, but we are talking, to me, about a 1 or 2 year window of his best football.
Yeah, let's find out what Richard thinks. Richard, you're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. What do you think about the Titans signing DeAndre Hopkins?
I think it could be a good move because without somebody like that, defenses are going to be able to put extra guys in the box.
Correct.
So that's going to maybe make somebody, if it works out, I can see where but it's a lot of money they're spending.
It is.
That's the other side to it.
Yeah, it is.
But is that the best wide receiver they could get? I don't know, but it's for that couple-year window. If they had to start over with another quarterback, you're talking several years down the road. But to try to get another year or two out of Derrick Henry and Tannehill, this is maybe their best option.
Yeah, I mean, while the window is slightly cracked, I think that you have to at least go forward with what you got and make as additions as you can. And with DeAndre Hopkins, I mean, really, it was DeAndre Hopkins and Dalvin Cook as far as the headliners for free agency. But like you said, it's going to come down to more best bang for your buck, because you can have the name recognition and everything, but if you're not providing, even though last year he had as many 100-yard games as the entire Titans wide receiving core. I mean, for crying out loud, Mike Vrabel had more receiving touchdowns than anyone on the roster last year.
This move to me says they think they have another year. Like they have another year shot at this. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure I agree, but this move tells me they think they can be ultra competitive at least one more year.
So they go for it for 1 year, and if they can keep people healthy, that maybe catches lightning in a bottle. But Derrick Henry's not getting any younger. Right. I mean, nobody's getting younger. So I don't see where they have a choice, because if you tear down, does Vrabel stick around to do a rebuild? It's probably a 3 or 4 year plan.
Yep.
If other than this.
Yeah, at least we have something to kind of, Titans fans anyways have something to kind of, they're doing something. It's not just like, are we just going to keep on drafting quarterbacks in the second and third rounds, you know? So
it's like you say, it's like we finally have an answer to what we think they're doing.
Yeah.
And so I'm at least happy about that, that it seems like they finally know what they want to do. It seems like they're going all in on this year. Great. Okay. We'll see how it works. I would have been fine if they'd have blown it up in the offseason, too, just so I knew where a direction was.
So you knew, I could take this year off. I'll watch like 4 days.
I would have still followed them, but, I mean, there would have been a direction. And that was the thing. They couldn't make up their mind. They would drop hints that they might be ready to do that when they started talking about shopping Derrick Henry and all. But
yeah, I mean, that's what you would have to do. You'd have to just clean house, and then go tank for Caleb Williams or Drake May.
Yeah.
No doubt. I mean, and then you look at some of the moves that they've made for the offensive line. The offensive line is made up of a lot of guys that were kind of on other teams. Andre Dillard with the Eagles, like not necessarily number ones, but then there's not a whole lot of tape on them, so they could come out. They could have a good chemistry together and provide Derrick Henry with some extra vision, if you will, some extra blocking, but it's way too early to tell any of that. So like you said, Richard, to open up the call is now at least you're going to have the defense concerned that there might be a passing play on the board, and there might be a qualified wide receiver that they need to be looking out for, because I don't think Treylon Burks or Chaz or Akine is going to be moving the needle like that. Hey, Richard, what about the direction for your Dolphins this year?
I'm cautiously optimistic. I mean, it really can Tua stay healthy. That's what it really comes down to.
Yep. Health for your quarterback is always of the utmost importance. Hey, Richard, thanks so much for the call.
You're welcome.
Yes, sir. That is good stuff as always, man. And it's, a good move. I was really as surprised as anyone else that he actually went with the Tennessee Titans, just because Cleveland was out there on the board. The Patriots seem to be in a better position. But then if I'm thinking like DeAndre Hopkins, it's like, of the divisions, which one has a clearer path? The AFC North, the AFC East, or the AFC South? Not a clear path, because obviously the Jaguars are in your way, but that looks to be at this point in time the only team that's in your way. Now the Colts not getting talked about a lot, and Anthony Richardson could come out and prove to everyone why he was drafted as high as he was. And same way with the Texans, who have kind of changed the whole philosophy there, with DeMeco Ryans being the head coach, CJ Stroud, Will Anderson over there. I mean, but I think that, they're 2-3 years out from being really competitive. So maybe DeAndre looked at it like that. Like, this is my best route of the teams that are interested in me in making a run.
The South is clearly the easiest path through to the playoffs. I don't think there's any doubt about that. That being said, it's completely up in the air because even if you have a team that's not necessarily good on paper, they get hot in that division and they're young, you never know what that can do to inspire a team.
Yeah. It's like the Reds right now in baseball.
The Texans, I think, have too many questions to answer. The Colts are interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And, just look at Jacksonville last year. Nobody would have pegged them to do what they did going in the season, but it was there in front of them. They got a little momentum going. Trevor developed a little bit more, and look what happened. So it'll be interesting to see. The Titans, you would generally think would be second favorites now.
I would pick the Jaguars over the Titans.
I think so, based on the end of last year and what they've done and adding Calvin Ridley and a few other pieces. So I would think so, but you can't say the Jags are a team that you would go lay a lot of money on. They're still scary.
No. Right. It's and that it's a 1A, 1B.
Right.
And the 1B is because the Titans now for 3 or 4 years have kind of proven that they can win the division without a great team around them. They don't have to have a lot of names because it boils down to that Vrabel's defense.
It's kind of like several years back where it was kind of like, who wants it? And it looked like nobody wanted to take it, and the Titans just, all right, we will.
Yeah, the number one seed when they won the number one seed.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. But even just winning the South.
Yeah.
It was like the teams were falling all over themselves to lose to each other. It was crazy. So it's always been an odd division, but I would Hopkins have considered that? Possibly. Here's a guy who, generally speaking, has not, he's made playoffs before, but he's not really had a real good, solid run at the Super Bowl.
No, because it was all with the Texans, Deshaun Watson, and never really had that. I think his only appearance with the Cardinals in the playoffs was that one game, essentially, and Kyler Murray just didn't have a lot of help from his receivers in that, and also didn't put a lot of throws on the money. So I'm just glad that the Titans did make a move here. And at least, even if they didn't end up signing DeAndre Hopkins, the fact that they were in the running for it is good stuff. And then also with Mike Vrabel, when he was the defensive coordinator over with the Houston Texans, he had, some connection with DeAndre Hopkins. So that definitely had to have helped to get him in there. And now you got, Derrick Henry, who everyone can say, and he is slowing down to some extent, but we're talking about a guy behind a terrible offensive line who ran for 1,500 yards last year and had his best receiving.
Him slowing down would worry me if his MO was outrunning you.
Yeah, but running you over is a little different. Yeah, that's the scary part about it.
But I think he would like to just run through you. And he can still do that.
He can still do that. It's the Afternoon Underdogs on ESPN Northwest Florida. We're going to take a quick time out, and we'll be right back.
ESPN Northwest Florida is on location at Dave & Buster's. The Afternoon Underdogs are broadcasting live at Dave & Buster's Pier Park with half-price cocktails, half-price games, free Dave & Buster's game cards, and choice swag from ESPN Northwest Florida. Join David, Kyle, Amanda, Drew, and a cast of sports fanatics every Wednesday from 4 to 6 with fun and prizes at Dave & Buster's Pier Park with ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida. Here is your weather forecast on this Monday afternoon. The rest of the day, possible thunderstorms and some sun, and 87 with a gentle breeze around 11 miles per hour out of the west. For tonight, mostly clear skies with a light breeze and a low near 81. Tomorrow, wind 5 to 10 miles per hour, mostly sunny, and a high around 88. For Wednesday, sunshine and a high of 88. This weather forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Hey folks, Chris Kramer with Bill Kramer GM. And the best place to listen to the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey is inside a brand new vehicle from Bill Kramer GM. And I want you to know we've got 10 times the amount of inventory on the ground as we did this time last year, and darn near all of them are discounted. So shop us online at BillKramerGM.com or visit us the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd. We'll make it easy and take great care of you.
Los Rancheros has been doing it right for 20 years. Los Rancheros brings a top-shelf dining experience to you with the opening of their beautiful new building. Watch all college and pro games on Los Rancheros' 14 large-screen TVs with great drink specials daily from 2 to 5 and during all the games. Los Rancheros, the place for live sports and great food on 23rd Street between Jenks and Harrison.
The Braves are absolutely rolling through the National League with some of the biggest wins and epic moments of the year.
2-2 to Matt, and a rocket to right field. This thing is into orbit. That's on the roof of the Chop House.
Tomorrow night, Ronald Acuna and the Braves take on the National League West Arizona Diamondbacks at Truist Park in Atlanta.
Coverage starts tomorrow night at 6. First pitch is 6:20. On your home for the Atlanta Braves on the Gulf Coast, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Karen bought 83 liters of Dr. Thunder, a suitcase full of Cheez-Its, and a drum of Crisco. Now she's crying about using the self-check at Walmart.
Maybe we should speak to a manager or something.
Just saying. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back. It's time for us to go around the track with RJ Starcevic. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs, and you're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. You can hear us on 104.3 here in Panama City, 101.9 if you're in the Port St. Joe area. We're also streaming live on Facebook and YouTube, all at ESPN Northwest Florida. Well, let's go around the track with RJ Starcevic. He is the host and creator of the NASCAR Report. You can find that on Instagram. He's also a contributor for TobyChristie.com, which I got to scour through some of that today, RJ. We were looking for on the midday show here, the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey and Jay Henley. We were looking for races that, like NASCAR Cup races, that have an odd amount of miles or an odd amount of laps, and that all was struck up because of the Crayon 301. So how was the race today, RJ? I'm taking that as it was golden. He's like, that might be the best race ever. Believe Martin Truex Jr. came out on top this afternoon, and one of the crazy facts about it, just kind of, I didn't get to watch any of the race. Tried to watch the last 8 laps, but for some reason, the internet, it just kept on giving me the loading sign. But he ended up leading 254 out of the 301 laps, and then when they win there in New Hampshire, they get a lobster, a big old lobster. So I got a question for RJ about that. But the race was supposed to be yesterday. They ran into some inclement weather up there in New Hampshire, but they got it in today. I think they started around 11 or 12 this afternoon, and it just finished up just after 3 o'clock. So great stuff at the Crayon 301. So RJ, what's going on, my friend? How's it going?
Going good. Sorry, had a little delay myself. Theme of NASCAR lately with rain delays. As I was just about to say, we've had 4 weeks in a row of delayed action, rain-impacted action. So we had a race on a Monday today, because usually we're talking the day after, but today we're talking the day of. Finished up just about a few hours ago, and I'd say it was a pretty solid race. Dominant performance by Martin Truex Jr. He ended up getting the win.
Yeah, man, great racing this afternoon. I didn't get to watch a ton of it, but I don't know if you heard us whenever I was bringing you in, but on the Inside Drive show today, we were talking about the Crayon 301, so I had to go to TobyChristie.com to look at all of the miles and laps that they run at each track, because we were looking for another odd one like the Crayon 301 that they raced up there in New Hampshire this afternoon, and there's actually quite a few of them. I was surprised.
Yeah, no, it's there are definitely a lot of races out there with an odd amount of mileage. We're used to 300, 400, 500 races, but New Hampshire always has famously been the 301 race, for NASCAR. So I think it's about 318 miles is the total length of the race. The Crayon 301 today.
Not to be confused with Crayola.
Yeah, not to be confused with Crayola. The Crayon 301 was certainly an interesting show.
Yeah, Twitter fans did not seem too happy when they found out that it wasn't about the coloring crowns as much as it was there's some type of software company, right?
Yeah, some type of software company, like you said. But I think for the first half of this week, I really did think it was Crayon, as in Crayola, as in the coloring utensil. But unfortunately, I guess we're just a little bit disappointed. No shame to the Crayon company, but we like ourselves some crayons.
Hey, no doubt. I mean, next year they could just, each car could be have a wrap or a paint job, whatever you want to call it, that looks like a different color of the crayon box. You got to use the large box though, the one with 64 crowns. But yeah, Martin Truex Jr. getting the win, leading 254 of the 301 laps. I got to ask you though, what did you like better, Truex's burnout or his celebration with the lobster?
Yeah, both were pretty unique for sure. I mean, he burned that thing down all the way down the front straightaway. I think the burnout was great, but definitely with the lobster, I don't know if I've seen anybody take a bite out of the claw like he was doing in Victory Lane, because usually the traditions is you give a little kiss, and then some people are even afraid to do that, and he just said, I'm going straight in, and I'm biting the claw. So definitely an interesting celebration from MTJ, but I'm sure he was fired up after, I mean, last year, a year ago in this race, he absolutely dominated, lost the win, won both stages, and a really gutting loss for that team. So to come out this year, basically do the same thing, win stage 1, win stage 2, have a dominant car, and then again, some late race yellows, some strategy, some like, okay, maybe somebody has a shot here at the 19 car this year. Not at all. The pit crew absolutely nailed it all day. Nailed it on strategy all day, and obviously had a really fast car to be able to hang on to some late challenges there at the end, but nobody had a match for the 19.
And this is also Truex's second win this year when the race has been delayed to the following day, also happens to be Monday. So if all NASCAR races or if all Cup Series races were on Mondays, where would Martin Truex Jr. be right now?
He would be ranking right up there at the top, obviously. He's got a win at Dover earlier this year, and then he won Sonoma as well. So now he's scoring the win again on a Monday at New Hampshire in dominating fashion. And Christopher Bell's Toyota teammate won the pole, had some issues early in the race on pit road, and just was never able to get back up there and challenge him for the win. So definitely strong season. Now he has the second most wins, tied for the second most wins this year with Kyle Busch with 3. Really strong season building up for MTJ.
All right, you're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We're chatting with RJ Starcevic. He's the host and creator of the NASCAR Report, which you can find on Instagram. Whose race hurt their playoff chances today?
I would say it's. I think last week I went with Chase Elliott as somebody that didn't hurt, as in he didn't make any gains, the gains that they were expecting to make. And I think the same thing again this weekend at New Hampshire. They just did not have a strong car whatsoever. And the Hendrick cars were a little bit up and down. Kyle Larson showed some strength at the end. William Byron in the middle of the race had a strong car with the strategy they did. But the 9 team just never really found their footing and really being able to make a strong run. So now still 60 points back, and we really think it's probably going to be a must-win situation for the 9 team. And then Alex Bowman and Ty Gibbs both got caught up in some incidents late in the race. They both had obviously been about 20, 30 points back as of late. Have some late race incidents, especially Ty Gibbs right at the end of the race. I think those last few laps he ended up getting in the wall, losing a ton of positions. Now he's 40 points back at the cut line. So as we start to creep near and near that playoff cutoff race, Ty Gibbs and Alex Bowman definitely don't want to be in positions, Joe Gibbs Racing in a Hendrick Motorsports car don't want to be in a must-win situation.
And on the flip side of that, who helped their playoff chances here in New Hampshire?
Well, certainly both the RFK cars and Kevin Harvick, have had a standard lead gap, I'd say, over the playoff cut line for a while, but they definitely excelled on that today. Brad Keselowski getting a top 5. Chris Buescher was running very well all race. Harvick, I believe, slotted in the 4th spot for the event. Michael McDowell had another pretty just nice, consistent race. He's now just 1 point above the cut line. But a strong effort for them to kind of stay above the cut line and keep their momentum going and keep this points battle going with Daniel Suarez, with Bubba Wallace, and with A.J. Allmendinger, who's kind of crept himself into the picture.
I have a question for you that's kind of just off the top of my head here looking at the standings, but why is it that Truex Jr. is leading William Byron? I'll read you off here what I'm looking at. For Truex, you've got 3 wins, 7 top 5s, 10 top 10s, and 1 DNF. For William Byron, he's got 4 wins, 8 top 5s, 11 top 10s, but 2 DNFs. And William Byron has also led 7 more laps than Truex Jr. and has 4 more stage wins. So why is the DNFs the separator here?
Possibly, yeah. Sometimes those DNFs can really be crucial, depending on where you finish, depending on where that DNF is. But yeah, just overall in the points, Truex 17 points above William Byron, and at the end of the regular season, that regular season championship would be 15 playoff points awarded to Martin Truex Jr. So that's a really big battle. That's kind of going to come down to these two. It seems like towards the end of the year, who's going to get that 15 playoff point bonus, and almost kind of guarantee it's a really big help down the road in these playoffs to start every round with all these extra playoff points. And so, Truex having that advantage, that 17-point advantage, hoping to continue it through the summer. Nonetheless, like you said, there are some differences in the stats here, but it's going to come down to the wire, I think, between these two as we get into the summer.
Any fireworks, any Ross Chastain sightings, or any type of fights going on after the race today?
No, I only saw one thing on Twitter. I think Michael McDowell and Ryan Preece had a little disagreement. No fights, no blows, no Ross Chastain haymakers or anything. But I think just a little heated conversation. I know there's obviously tempers flare on the track during the race and on the radio, but sometimes there's a lot of people that just calm down. They just, park their car, go onto their hauler, and look forward to the next week. So no fireworks this week, but I'm sure they'll be coming throughout the rest of the week, throughout the rest of the year.
Give us a recap of the Ambetter Health 200, the Xfinity race at New Hampshire.
Yeah, Xfinity race in New Hampshire, another one kind of similar to the Cup Series race, dominated by a Toyota driver, this time John Henry Nemechek. Had some cautions out, some late race restarts, some strategy factored into it. But ultimately, JHN scores, his fourth win of the season in the Xfinity Series. He had a battle. I think the first 30 laps was really awesome. It was just him versus Justin Allgaier for the opening 30 laps. An awesome battle. And then Allgaier, unfortunately, had an issue on pit road, gets stuck back in the field, gets stuck in a crash, and then, is not able to make it back up through the field. Kind of similar to what happened to Christopher Bell today. He was really the only one that we felt like was going to be able to contend with Truex. Had a pit road issue, gets caught up in a crash late in the race, and is unable to get the finish that they felt like they deserved. But another win for John Henry Nemechek. That's 2 in a row for that 20 team. Really just putting themselves up there as the championship favorites, and now he's got a 33-point gap as well for that regular season championship. If he were to get that regular season title, all the playoff points that come with it, I'm sure, they're easily, definitely already in the top 3 of the championship favorites, but kind of just taking that S out of there and saying this is the championship favorite.
Scrolling through your Twitter earlier, RJ, you tweeted out it's still so weird to watch how differently the racing is between Xfinity and Cup Series at a track like this one. If you can put that into words for us and the listeners, that would be awesome.
Yeah, so it is weird. Obviously we know the next-gen car is much, much different than the Xfinity Series car. The next-gen car is obviously very new, translates more so to a sports car, more built for road courses, that is kind of just thrown under these ovals, whereas, the Xfinity Series is still more so the old school stock car. So it's really interesting, and it's kind of cool in a sense where, you got 2 races in one weekend that are going to be really, really different as far as the racing. The Xfinity cars are going to be, more slipping and sliding around. There's a little bit less grip in those race cars, whereas the Cup Series they can be more stable, but then also if you get loose a tiny bit, that car's going around. They're built differently. They take damage differently. And obviously the air is a little bit more dirtier in the Cup Series, which they were going to try to fix this weekend, but due to weather, they canceled the big test that they had planned for a new short track package. So I think they said that they're going to resuming that down the road, I think at Richmond. Not sure where. I can't remember, but yeah, definitely it's just two different races, that can unfold as far as how the racing is. Even last week at Atlanta with the super speedway package, the Cup cars are kind of way more bunched up, since Atlanta was kind of designed for how the next gen car is. So, we'll see what they do with the Xfinity Series in the coming years, but I kind of like the dynamic we have now. The Cup racing we're seeing now is different than I feel like we've ever saw before, but the Xfinity Series kind of takes you back to that old school stock car racing. So I say we keep, and then you just have the Truck Series, which is kind of its own animal sometimes. But I say I like the current dynamic we have right now, and I say we keep it.
The Cup Series next race is going to be the highpoint.com 400 at Pocono Raceway. Hit us with some track facts about Pocono.
Yeah, Pocono, they call it the Tricky Triangle, the only track on the schedule with only 3 turns, and it's really just such a dynamic, it's its own racetrack, and it's in the same boat as New Hampshire as far as the track history over the last 7 years. It was a track that used to have 2 dates. People didn't really like it having 2 dates because the races were, up and down. So now both Pocono and New Hampshire were shrunk down to just 1 date, a few years back, and I think it's really excelled, the interest of the racetrack, just having one prime race date for each series. And so New Hampshire, I think, has excelled. The racing there has gotten a lot better. And Pocono, I think, has always been a pretty fun track. It's its own beast. It always usually ends up in some type of strategy play towards the end. Fuel mileage we see all the time at Pocono. So, and restarts there can be really, really crazy. I mean, we saw a lot of stuff happen late in the race last year. Pocono, Ross Chastain and Denny Hamlin tangled there towards the end. So anything can happen at Pocono. Definitely looking forward to this weekend for sure.
All right, top 4 for the Cup Series and for Xfinity. You can start with Xfinity.
Yeah, we'll start with Xfinity. They head to Pocono this week. I think they just dropped the entry list. We got 41 cars vying for 38 spots. I'm going to have to throw John Hunter Nemechek into the 4 there. He's won 2 in a row. Who says he can't go for 3? He's got a lot of experience at Pocono, running all 3 series there in the past. He's run the Truck Series there, Xfinity and Cup. I think he definitely could get another win this weekend. I'll throw a little cheater pick in there. Chase Elliott is racing this weekend in the Xfinity Series, which I think is really going to be something he needs. It seems like, that time off that he's had, whether it's from the suspension and the injury, some seat time, I think, will really help Chase Elliott. So going out there in the Xfinity race at a track like Pocono will really help, and obviously he'll be vying for the win up there at the front. I think Justin Allgaier, kind of another one at New Hampshire that he feels got away. He's going to come back with some fire at Pocono to win that race, and then I think Sheldon Creed will have a strong car at Pocono and be able to contend for the win. And then we move over to the Cup Series, where I think Denny Hamlin last year won the race technically, got disqualified in post-race inspection, but he's always really fast at Pocono. I'm going to say Toyota keeps the momentum rolling. And on that same subject, I think Martin Truex Jr. keeps his momentum rolling. He's been strong at Pocono in the past, multiple wins there. I think he could definitely get a victory. I'd say Alex Bowman, somebody that needs a win. We know needs a victory. He's won at Pocono in the past, been strong at Pocono in the past. Why not this weekend to get that win to kind of book his spot into the playoffs? And then Kyle Busch, someone who I think is looking for some more momentum again. He really had it at the beginning of the year, has slowed down since, had a rocky race today at New Hampshire. I think Kyle Busch returns to victory lane at Pocono.
RJ, I might have asked you this last year, and you got us ramped up for the race here at Pocono. Is going to be a great one, but I think I asked you last year, but I can't remember. Who's your college football team?
My college football, I guess it would be USF. I mean, I got a few different ones, but being here near the University of South Florida, I got a lot of friends that go there and some friends that play football for the team. So I would say if I had to pick one, it would probably be the USF program.
Who's your top 4 going into this year? Who do you think makes it to the college football playoff? Put you on the spot since we're about 40 days away from college football.
College football playoff going into 2023. Let's see. I mean, I think I got to always throw Bama in there. I think Bama can have a strong year. I haven't totally looked at who's going to be strong for 2023, but I throw Bama in there. I got to throw Georgia. I think Bama and Georgia would be 2 locks for me. Somebody, let's see, I could throw Ohio State in there.
Yeah.
And then we'll go with, I'd say we either looking at I'd say a Michigan or a Penn State. I feel like you may be in the 4 spot, or maybe a surprise again. I mean, you never know when a team like TCU can roll in into the Final Four. So I think it would be. I feel like this year we could see something again, like 3 locks and then some 14 that you wouldn't see coming, kind of like TCU did this year, which was really fun to watch because I hadn't. With being so locked into NASCAR sometimes on Saturdays, like it pulls me away a little bit from college football like I used to be.
Right.
But being able to watch again towards the end of this year, it was like, kind of getting into the TCU program and rallying behind them a little bit. I was like, oh, this team's kind of cool.
There you go, man. And anyone who has Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama, and Georgia, like, you're almost guaranteed to get 2 out of those 4 teams correct. And I think that's a good call, especially at the beginning of the season. Hey, RJ, thanks so much for your time, and look forward to the race at Pocono, and then also look forward to next Monday at 420 when we go around the track with RJ Starcevic.
Exactly. Excited next weekend at Pocono, and now you got me excited. Football season's coming back up. Let's go.
Let's go. That's RJ, y'all. Make sure you go over to Instagram and follow the NASCAR Report on Instagram. And also, RJ is a contributor at TobyChristie.com. We're going to take a quick time out. When we return, it'll be time to play a little traffic jam and trivia.
ESPN Northwest Florida. The tradition continues.
That ball's going to be out of here.
America's team plays here.
Bombs away.
The Atlanta Braves are back and making a statement.
Ronald Acuna just clobbered one to left.
Listen to Atlanta Braves baseball in a rich audio experience live on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Here comes the thunder.
Sponsored by Billboard Kia, Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, Mid-South Lumber, Stormore Portable Buildings, and Brock Pest Control.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida. Here is your weather forecast on this Monday afternoon. The rest of the day, possible thunderstorms and some sun, and 87 with a gentle breeze around 11 miles per hour out of the west. For tonight, mostly clear skies with a light breeze and a low near 81. Tomorrow, a wind 5 to 10 miles per hour, mostly sunny, and a high around 88. For Wednesday, sunshine and a high of 88. This weather forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Game days are always better at Dave & Buster's. That's because more TV inches, more food and drinks, more space, and more fun make the game we all know and love more special. Nothing beats seeing your favorite team take the field on the 2 12-foot big screens or 26 75-inch TVs. Throw in the arcade experience and you've got a winning atmosphere that no other sports bar can deliver. Follow the fun at Dave & Buster's Panama City Beach on Facebook and Instagram. Eat, drink, play, and watch sports at Dave & Buster's.
Take your next adventure in an award-winning Kia from Bill Bird Kia. The SUV family has movement that inspires, and we invite you to test drive the new 2023 Kia Soul, Seltos, Sportage, Sorento, or Telluride. You can command the road in a sedan from Bill Bird Kia. Drive away today in a new 2023 Rio, Forte, K5, or Stinger, and discover the all-new Kia at Bill Bird Kia. 2435 East 15th Street, Panama City, or anytime at BillBirdKia.com. Peace of mind you can trust at your local community dealer, Bill Bird Kia.
They said it couldn't be done. The Afternoon Underdogs are live.
They say it can't be done.
Are we going to do what they say can't be done?
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Brian, do you know what my favorite thing about spaghetti is?
Nope.
Leftovers. I love having leftover spaghetti.
You're talking to a fat kid. There's no such thing as leftovers.
Yeah, that's
here.
fair enough. I always try to cook enough to make sure that I've got leftovers for the next 2 or 3 days. And today's trivia question is leftover from Friday, where we didn't have a winner. Who are the 4 Braves players with at least 30 home runs and 30 stolen bases in the same season? For today's question on Traffic Jammin' Trivia. Give us a call, 850-215-6290. The 4 Braves players with at least 30 home runs and 30 stolen bases in the same season. I know 100% there's only one name on here that you're even circling around, I think.
I haven't looked, but
I know
one for sure, and it's an old one.
Yeah. There's a couple old ones here. There's a couple old ones.
I have to think about this one.
850-215-6290. Help Brian remember who the 4 Braves players with at least 30 home runs and 30 stolen bases in the same season for your chance to win $25 to not the, but that boot store and a 12-pack of Buffalo Rock. I also need to get over here. We've got a little update to the break room's menu now. It's still going to be the same prices, all of that good stuff, but they did update some things, so I just need to get on over to that. Meatloaf Monday is today. It is going to be Meatloaf Monday. Tuesday.
I think Meatloaf had been a Tuesday.
It was Tuesday. Yeah, so now you've got Meatloaf on Mondays. Okay. On Tuesdays, you got quesadillas. Quesadillas used to be on Friday, so now it's going to be Tuesday quesadillas. Wednesdays, you're going to have spaghetti and meatballs.
There we go.
Which I wish it was still on Monday, but just because I got to go out to Dave & Buster's, so I'm out of here a little too. I'm out of here around 1, like as soon as the show ends, so I don't have any time to get over there. Thursday is going to be chicken pot pie, and Friday is going to be the hamburger steak, and all of the specials are only $5. Make sure you get down there to the break room on Joan Avenue and tell Chef Ross that the Afternoon Underdog sent you. Even if you're not going for lunch, they've got a beautiful room there with the pool tables. You got the full bar, and then they got Chef Ross cooking stuff up for you. All right. 850-215-6290. And we're still looking for those 4 Braves players with at least 30 home runs and 30 stolen bases in the same season. The Braves did drop that series to the Chicago White Sox 2-1. Game yesterday was just not a lot of fun for Braves fans, but don't overreact. They still got the best record in the National League. There's still plenty of time. Colby Allard had a little issue with some shoulder tightness, and so he was pulled there. In the second inning, only got about 1.2 innings pitched, and then Colin McHugh took over for him. But it was a tough day for the Braves. They look to bounce back. They've got the day off. They're still here in Atlanta, and they're going to be hosting the Arizona Diamondbacks. First pitch tomorrow at 6:20. Also, I don't know if you've heard anything about this. Today is the first I've been hearing about it, but some of this stuff has had to have been swirling around on Twitter and all of that good stuff. Legends Home Run Derby. So this might be happening next year, which with the main name that they're bringing up, Ken Griffey Jr., I don't understand why it wasn't done this year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, being in Seattle, sure.
Exactly. Yeah. Next year it's going to be in Texas, Globe Life Field. That's a beautiful establishment. So, and none of this it's getting legs. None of this is official or anything like that, but you do have 4 participants who have agreed to do it. It appears. This is according to the Wind Up. It's a little newsletter that I get delivered to my email inbox via The Athletic. But Ken Griffey, Albert Pujols, David Ortiz, and Jim Thome would be willing to participate. So you've already essentially got 4 huge names there. Now I know off rip we can think of 2 other names that baseball needs to get this done.
Look, this screams McGuire and Sosa.
Yes.
And, I was thinking more about like the original The Match with Phil and Tiger. Like McGuire Sosa could be something cool for that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, this sounds great. And anytime you bring in old vets, I love it. I wonder, though, these guys are some of them are still in pretty good shape, but do they play from the plate, or do you have to move them up a little bit?
Well, so what?
Do you have like a super senior division?
Right. So we're getting a few questions. I'll read some of these off. Juan Gonzalez, Pudge. Those are great answers for the area of Texas. Justin says it would be pretty cool, or a legend slow pitch softball game. Yeah. I think I would rather the home run derby, but don't get me wrong. If you're going to get me to the legends in any capacity, a softball game would be interesting as well. But I think that their competitive juices would flow. Speaking of these individuals here with a home run derby more so. And I think Ken Griffey Jr., we know Albert Pujols was in it last year. Ken Griffey can still swing it very well. I'm not sure about Thome and David Ortiz. Is David Ortiz.
Well, here's the thing. Look, nothing against Poppy, but let's just say people of his general body frame.
Yeah.
I would much rather see him swing a bat and go for the fences than try and run around the base paths or something. So,
there you go.
So, Legends game for him may not make a whole lot of sense, or guys who've perhaps let themselves go since their playing days, but they can probably still swing a bat. So, I think it'd be fun. Like I said, I always love when the vets come around and do something. Any kind of skills challenge for them to me would be cool. But a home run derby would be cool. And obviously the names you could bring in would just be phenomenal.
Rafael Primero would be one.
See, now's where with
A-Rod,
it gets tricky.
You're right.
And
you don't want to load it up with Rangers either.
I don't want to bring the commissioner's name into this because I despise the human, but
Clownford.
Exactly. But he's actually got a very difficult decision to make, because do you bring guys in from the steroid era?
Yeah.
McGuire didn't get tied to it quite as bad, but certainly into androstenedione. And Sosa, who knows? Bonds certainly has a very checkered past with it. Palmeiro as much as anybody. And then there's always the question, guys. I mean, do you lean into it and just say, look, it was clearly a part of our past that we dealt with? Or do you go into this going, we're not letting these guys in the Hall of Fame, but we're happily going to capitalize, bring it.
They're NIL?
It's tricky. So, I mean,
well, Barry Bonds, I can't remember which year it was, but he took himself out of the union and on the out of the players union, and on one of the video games, can't remember which one. I think it was all of them because he wasn't a unionized player at that point. They were just like some random player in his. Yeah. Frank Thomas is another one guy here.
I mean, Ortiz has a little bit of touching of the steroid thing. I mean, I think he was named in one of the reports early on, and there's certainly some questions about some other guys who maybe didn't have their name on the list. But if you really want to have a great Legends home run derby, I think you need McGuire, you need Sosa, you need Bonds, at least to reach out to them.
Yeah.
You need Palmeiro. You need guys who've hit 500 home runs.
How about Ryan Howard?
Ryan Howard would be great.
Yeah, Caveman Rick suggested him, and then Justin kind of piggybacked off that. Howard's 59 home run season is so underrated in baseball history.
Well, and there are also guys who hit a ton of home runs who aren't huge names. I mean, a guy like an Adam Dunn or an Eric Karros. I mean, these are guys who probably should be in there.
Right.
It would be interesting. A Mo Vaughn would probably be fun to watch.
Mo Vaughn. Do you think he would be mobile enough to?
I don't know.
I haven't seen him.
Mo Vaughn maybe about 400 by now.
Right.
But it would be fun to watch some of those guys. I mean, you remember the heroes of your youth, and they had transgressions in there, but those are still the guys I'd like to see.
I have an idea on what they could do. You could just get Ken Griffey Jr. out there, get the guys who had no ties to it, and just have them do a live steroid shot.
Do the tainted, non-tainted division.
There you go. No, just have Ken Griffey Jr. do a live steroid shot right there before we start the home run derby. No, but there was also talks here of kind of making it so they wouldn't do how they have it now with the bracket set up. It would go more than likely back to that 10 out situation, or maybe even make it less because you would want it to be boom, boom, boom. But also turn it into an inning type thing. So it would be, if you got two teams of 4, you do 2 innings each, and then each team could pick their hottest hitter to represent them in the 9th.
I mean, that's fine. I think you would definitely have to limit it. You might even just go to, 15 balls, period.
Yeah.
And you just go from there, because these guys are not going to be able to hit 41 home runs and be able to lift their arms for a week afterwards. So, you probably need to limit it, come up with something that's a little bit more straightforward, and it'd be fun. It just seems so cool and so nostalgic.
Right.
I'd be all for it.
And that's baseball. That's baseball in a nutshell, man.
More than any other sport.
Yeah.
The numbers and the history matter in baseball. It's part of why the fervor was so against these guys, is because they started approaching hallowed numbers.
Yeah.
And, it's...
In football, it's almost like it's celebrated, almost expected for these guys to break the all-time records, especially the way that the game is being played now.
Football takes a bit of a different look at performance-enhancing drugs than baseball does, I think, because of the hallowed nature of the numbers. And football, to be fair, football went through it a little earlier than baseball, and it wasn't as rampant.
Yeah.
But it's baseball, and those numbers mean something, and those records mean something, and history means something. Because unlike football, which really is since the 50s and 60s, and really the late 60s, if you talk about the Super Bowl era, and basketball, very similar. Baseball, we know numbers from the 1890s, the 19 teens.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody knows 56. Everybody, knew 4191.
714, 715,
exactly,
where are we at now?
755. I mean, those were big numbers. Hitting 400's a huge number. I mean, these are big numbers in baseball. So, but
do you think I would love I know we both agree that we would love to see this happen, but do you think that we could actually see it happen at next year's All-Star game, when we're just starting to hear rumors about it now? Now, of course, these things could have been swirling for a while, and as we saw with the COVID year, once they need to get something done, they'll get it done.
Here's what I think will happen. I think we'll see one next year. It'll be 4 to 6, maybe 8 at the most people, and none of the guys who have any steroid taint to them at all will be involved.
So we'll do first year, no steroids. The next year is going to be all steroid users, and then we'll take the top 4 from each of those.
2 divisions, baby.
Yeah, exactly. Great.
Juice division, non-juice division.
Which one do you think would be more interesting to watch?
I don't know. The guys who juiced up pretty good may have wreaked some havoc on their bodies.
There you go.
They may not be quite as...
And are they as
off?
Yeah, and are they still using? Are they still you know what I mean? Are they still in the gym? All of that good stuff. But then again, if they were to know a year in advance or 6 months in advance, they're going to get back into the gym. They might not get back into the juice, if you will.
I'll
But
tell you something. These guys are competitive. Don't think they won't get ready.
No, I'm saying they'll get ready. I'm just saying I'm not going to say that they're going to juice up for all of this.
Yeah.
Chef Ross says got to have Carlos Zambrano. That could be a good one. Just having pitching hitters, especially in a game now where we don't get to see the pitchers hit anymore. And I think
would be interesting. I mean, you could throw Cologne out there. I mean, he hit plenty during his career.
Yeah, like a Madison Bumgarner. I don't think he's playing for anyone right now. Madison Bumgarner, you could get it was Glavine. He was the best hitter of the 3, right?
I think so. And if you got Cologne out there, that'd be good because, you know, he could hit home runs and draw Social Security at the same time.
There you go. All right, we're getting ready for hour number 2. We're going to have Steve Barnes on the line with us. He's the senior writer for the rebelwalk.com. Y'all stick with us.
It's the PCB Hobby Takeover with Todd. Mondays at 5:20 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
That is a very high-end card and very rare.
Todd talks about coins, trading cards, collectibles, and the amazing stories behind them.
It was the first one that's ever come through my door.
Plus, we'll be taking your calls and questions at 850-215-6290. The PCB Hobby Takeover.
A platform for you to do your hobby.
Mondays at 5:20 on the Sports Talk Monster. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good evening. This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida. For tonight, mostly clear and a low of 81 with a 5 to 10 miles per hour wind out of the west. Mostly sunshine tomorrow morning, a light breeze and very warm near 87. Mostly sunny and 88 in the afternoon and evening. 88 and sunshine with a light breeze Wednesday. This is your Monday's weather sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Living on the Gulf Coast, we have beautiful beaches, clear water, and amazing marine life. Want to bring a piece of the ocean into your home or office with an amazing aquarium? Gulf Coast Aquarium, the area's only certified platinum CCHEM dealer. Their staff are all certified CCHEM specialists. Gulf Coast Aquarium can install, design, maintain, and finance your own piece of the Gulf. Gulf Coast Aquarium, powered by CCHEM, with over 40 years as a U.S.-based manufacturer of quality aquarium products. Online at GulfCoastAquarium.com. Gulf Coast Aquarium, where it's more than just a tank.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WTOT, W271DM Mariana, WVLQ Port St. Joe, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Golf is a game that should be fun, but to have the most fun, you need to play your best. That's where the experts at Golf Plus come in. Their friendly staff will guide you through the buying process, answer all your questions, and can help with any repairs you need along the way. Golf Plus is your custom fitting, club repair, and golf retail shop. Golf Plus staff is non-commissioned and will work with you to find the best product for your game, just like they've been doing since 1988. Golf Plus in Dothan and Panama City Beach. Fitting, repair, retail. That's Golf Plus.
The next evolution in sports talk radio. It's the Afternoon Underdogs.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Make it so. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
And it's hour number 2 of the Afternoon Underdogs here on ESPN Northwest Florida. We're on 104.3 here in Panama City, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. And starting off hour number 2 is going to be Steve Barnes. He is the senior writer for the rebelwalk.com. Steve, what's going on, my friend?
Hey, man, kind of a shock to be here. Didn't hear back from you today, but luckily our colleague Leanne Herring sent me a message, said, yeah, you went to occupational therapy today.
I'm going to forward you the message of our conversation.
Here we
go.
Where you said, or I could just read it off to you. Where you
That's
said,
okay. That's okay.
Alrighty.
Can I just use one word?
Yeah.
Percocet.
There you go. There you go. So yeah, Steve.
So So I was at a OT today instead of the SEC meetings, and if I can give anybody some advice out there, if you're ever offered the chance to get wrist surgery and elbow surgery at the same time, don't do it. Do it one at a time.
One at a time, yeah.
Yeah, if not, you're going to go to therapy and you're try to tear your arm off. But other than that, real quick, another thing, I guess it was about 20-something years ago, they did have a Legends All-Star game in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
This is before the Nationals got there, and I remember watching Hank Aaron hit a home run off of Luke Appling. And Luke Appling had to be in his mid to late 90s.
Yeah.
But Aaron was, in his mid to late 60s, and he still got one out of the ballpark. I couldn't do that. And all I remember is as soon as that ball left his bat, I was a 10-year-old kid again watching him hit one off of Al Downing to break Babe Ruth's record.
Yeah.
So do you think that's a
they should do that again?
Okay, good. You answered my question. I was going to say, do you think that's the direction Major League Baseball should look at? Would you rather see the All-Stars like a Legends softball game or a Legends home run derby? You get more Legends with a softball game.
Yeah, you get more at the softball game. It's less competitive. It's less failure, let's face it, because, some of the guys you had talked about, let's say Ortiz can't get one out anymore. Do you want to see him hit a bunch of fly balls to left field? Or would you rather see him get a base hit up the middle in softball?
Probably a base hit in softball that he tries to stretch into two.
Yeah, I would like to see him try to stretch anything into two. He could hit one off the wall, and I don't think he'd stretch it into two.
Yeah, absolutely. Steve, it's been feeling around here like we're going to be an Ole Miss affiliate lately. We've had Leanne Herring on as the Brian's giving me a very nasty look right now, and I'm being facetious. But no, we've had a lot from the rebelwalk.com. We had Leanne on with us, Leanne Herring. She's the director of recruiting over there at the rebelwalk.com. Steve's a senior writer, and we're going to have Evelyn Van Pelt, she's the founder, correct? The boss lady, right?
She is Ole Miss Evie. She is on radio shows all over the country, and she's just known as Ole Miss Evie. She knows everything Ole Miss.
Yeah, and that's going to be awesome. So we'll be talking with her Thursday.
And she will be in Nashville Thursday.
Yeah, so let's start off. If you did not cover Lane Kiffin, Steve, who would be the SEC coach that you would want to cover?
There would be two of them. I'd have to flip a coin. One of them, Sam Pittman from Arkansas, because I think if you went to have a one-on-one with him in his office, you're definitely going to get 4 or 5 cold beers.
Seems like a productive meeting.
Well, come on. And he doesn't lie. He'll tell you exactly what he thinks is going on. And if I had a second one, and this is with a caveat. If you'd asked me this time last year, it would have been Mike Leach.
Okay, yeah.
And Commissioner Slide today, nice little memorial.
Mm-hmm.
I was proud of him. The second one, Shane Beamer at South Carolina. He never seems to be in a bad mood. They can lose on Saturday, then he'll go on, ESPN or the SEC network on Monday, and he's got a smile on his face. He's like, well, that was 48 hours ago. I'm worried about next Saturday, not last Saturday. And he's going to tell you the truth. There's a lot of, if you listen to him today, there's a lot of coach speak. And, I want to hear the Q&As. I don't really want to hear the coach's speech at the SEC meetings, because it's usually just full of, yeah, I got to say this, I got to say this, I got to say this. But when they're asked a question, that's when they have to be real.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Beamer and Pittman are the two of the most real coaches in the SEC.
For some reason, I thought you were setting that up to say Hugh Freeze, just because of the connection with Ole Miss, and this time last year, there's no way you would have answered this direction. So I felt like Hugh Freeze was going to be one of the name that came out of your mouth. But
I've actually interviewed him, and he's a coach speak guy.
Yeah.
He knows the stock answer, and it's like, okay, you're not going to get any kind of information out of him.
That's going to be even more so now, isn't it?
Oh, it's going to be a lot more like that now, but you're not going to get any information out of him. And I think he's just like, I think he holds things so close to the vest that he's afraid if he says anything, it's going to come back and bite him.
What about on the flip side of that, Steve? Who is, I don't even know if I could ask this question without getting a coach speak answer from you. Who's a coach that you would not want to cover?
Oh, Jimbo Fisher, I think, would be number one for me.
Okay.
Maybe Mark Stoops would be number two.
What about Clark Lee up there in Vanderbilt?
Oh, I like Clark Lee, and he just got a contract extension today, by the way.
Oh, did he?
3 years. Yeah. So he's going to be there a while. I think he's very honest because he'll tell you, it's like, I'm at Vanderbilt and I've got to play these other schools, and he will just say, all right, yeah, this will not be easy.
Why did he accept the contract extension? What's the ceiling for Vanderbilt with Clark Lee?
Well, he accepted it because he's a Vandy guy.
Yeah.
He loves that place. I mean, and, you know, I think, Brian, didn't you live in Nashville for a while?
Yeah.
It's a great place to live. That's another reason I hate that I'm not up there for the media days. Nashville's a great little town. I love it up there.
Yeah.
But I think, I mean, where else would he rather be? He'd rather be at Vanderbilt than, you know, Northwestern. I'm sorry, Pat Fitzgerald, but I think he'd rather be at Vandy than Northwestern.
Yeah, the question to me is what Clark Lee really wants to do with this. I mean, if he's, you know, and he's a bit of a younger guy, certainly in relation to all the others, and if he's looking to lay down some roots and, you know, grow his family in a place that means so much to him like Nashville, this may be a job that, you know, he considers somewhere where he's going to end his career or try to. If he's looking to climb the ladder, you do have the James Franklin model, so it can be done. And if that's the case, what you need to be doing is more times than not making it to a bowl game.
Well, from year one to year two, he had 3 more wins.
Right.
If he can get 3 more this year, he's a 500. He's in a bowl game.
That's right.
So I'm thinking his thought process is, let's get a little better every season.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say it's Vanderbilt. I mean, when I was at Ole Miss, I remember Vanderbilt coming into Oxford, and they had Chuck Scott, who was a great wide receiver, and I can't think of the quarterback's name now, but they were the best passing offense in the SEC. And Ole Miss needed an interception in the end zone late in the fourth quarter to win that ball game. Well, Vandy wasn't relevant again until Jay Cutler came along.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's about 25 years in between. It's been 25 years. Now, maybe they can be relevant again.
Yeah. Yeah, I told this story several times, probably on this show as well, but I used to work directly across the street from Vanderbilt's football stadium, and they were always on the Jefferson Pilot 11 a.m. game. I'd show up, you know, for work at 8:30 in the morning, and there was no slowdown in traffic. I got there just as much. That's what Vandy game day was. There was always a guy on the street corner right where I would turn onto 25th Avenue North, and he always had a sign that says, I have tickets, I have tickets. Jay Cutler's senior year, I guess, when they started 6-0, is the only time in my life I ever saw that guy hold up a sign that said, I need tickets. That's what Vanderbilt.
And they really should have beaten Florida that year.
Yeah, they should have. I mean, they had a good ball club, and they kind of collapsed down the stretch. But, I mean, Franklin showed you can progress professionally as a coach at Vanderbilt if you do the job. And all Franklin really did was he, more times than not, got him to bowl games and occasionally won games he had no business winning. And he's parlayed that into a very successful career. I mean, we could debate whether or not we think he's worth what he's getting at Penn State, but he certainly made a good career out of coaching football since.
Well, he deserves what he's getting at Penn State because he's bringing Penn State back to what, well, Penn State was destroying.
Sure.
So he deserves that just for that. But he's bringing the right guys in there. They're graduating their players. They're winning games. If he can just get over that Ohio State and Michigan hurdle, he's in really good shape.
Yep.
You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We're on the line with Steve Barnes, senior writer for theRebelWalk.com. Steve, what's the best part of the SEC Media Days?
It's one of those things. It's like the old College Sports Information Directors Association convention or the Alabama Sports Writers Convention. You get to see everybody again, and you're not really that worried about game day yet. But, I mean, just today, just watching TV, just, a guy would stand up, say, Johnny Ballpark Franks from, Nashville Radio is like, I've known him for 30 years.
Yeah.
Or Teresa Walker from AP. Well, I've known her for 25 years.
She writes for the Titans, right?
Yeah, he covers them.
Teresa Walker?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had her on like 3 times before. Wild.
Oh, great lady. And
yeah.
I tell you what, she is one of the sharpest people you'll ever meet. Now, then again, what I don't miss is you'll see a guy who's, well, I'll just say inexperienced. Let's just put it that way. Somebody asked Jimbo Fisher today about a recruit that is not signed.
Mm.
How did he know that Jimbo Fisher can't talk about that? It's illegal. He can't do it. But as soon as he did it on the SEC network, I saw like 3 guys that I knew sitting behind him drop their heads like, why is he wasting our time?
Yeah, because that takes away from some of the other questions that actually have substance to them.
Yeah, Brad Crawford's a good friend of mine. We used to work together at football.com, and now he's with CBS Sports. And I think his was the first head I saw just drop going, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
No, and a lot of times that'll set the coach off too. It just wrecks the whole press conference. Steve, I thought for sure you were going to give the old standard print media answer when it comes to what's the best part of these things, to say the catering.
Oh. Well, I would say the catering or the hospitality room.
Yeah.
I mean, the Alabama Sports Writers Convention, it used to be hosted by the Talladega Motor Speedway.
Mm-hmm.
And they pulled out all the stops. That's where I first met Paul Feinbaum. And that's where I met, golly, I think Tom Murphy.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's like a bunch of people. There were like 5 or 6 people who are just, sort of national names now.
Mm-hmm.
And you met them in this hospitality suite where it's basically a motel room. They've taken the beds out.
Right.
And replaced it with coolers of adult beverages. And after, 20 minutes, nobody cares about, I'm competing against his paper or my paper.
That's right.
We're just sitting here talking.
An ununionized union.
Yeah, exactly. And I honestly believe that sports information directors should be unionized. I think that sports writers should be unionized, and I think broadcasters should be unionized.
Let's get it going. Come on, Steve, lead the charge.
I don't think anybody listens to me like that.
I would think it'd be funny just to hear all of those people get together and they couldn't even agree on the name for the union, which would be hilarious.
Exactly.
Yeah. I've been in those rooms.
I was sitting at a table. This was in Mobile in '99 at the Alabama Sports Writers Convention. I happened to be sitting at the table with the Auburn coach, Tommy Tuberville, the Alabama coach, which was Mike DeBose, Ted Miller, who won the Sports Writer of the Year award, Tommy Hicks, who was in charge of the place, and 2 other people. And we're just having a conversation over dinner, and finally DeBose and Tuberville get up and walk off. And I guess it was Ted who said, "What do we think about those 2 guys?" And somebody said, it's the Iron Head Bowl this year. They're the dumbest people I've ever met.
Oh.
But you don't get to learn that in, a press conference. So you have to be around it in these little situations like this, like in Nashville right now. the commissioner kept saying, okay, we're going to go down Broadway tonight, and so-and-so's buying drinks. Well, you're going to go to 4 or 5 places, and it's going to be nothing but sports writers and sportscasters. And they aren't even going to be talking sports.
Wow.
They're just going to be, hey, man, what are you doing? That's what I miss.
Yeah, 100%. We only got about 4 minutes left here, Steve. So let's talk. Who's the best quarterback? Who will be the best quarterback in the Southeastern Conference this year?
I think the consensus right now is Jalen Daniels, but I'm going to go a different direction. I'm going to say KJ Jefferson from Arkansas.
Really?
This guy is he's so big, he's so quick, has such an arm. Somebody asked me a couple of weeks ago to compare him to somebody, and you know he's not quite McNair, he's not quite Warren Moon. What I would say is, and Brian's going to back me up on this one probably because it's our day and age, he's Derek Ramsey, who was the quarterback at Kentucky in the mid-'70s.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough to meet Coach Rand. Well, he was an athletic director at Kentucky State when I was at Albany State. And we had a few conversations. I'm like, yeah, well, I remember you as a tight end at Kentucky or at Oakland with the Raiders.
Yeah.
And he said, if Stabler wouldn't have been there, I'd have been a better quarterback.
Yep. That's a good comparison. I tell you, the guy that intrigues me this year, Steve, Joe Milton under Josh Heupel could have just a breakout season. He has all the measurables. He's got an absolute cannon of an arm. And what Heupel's done with quarterbacks has been impressive to me. It may be a year early on him, but watch out for this guy.
The thing about Milton, I think he's got the arm. I'm not sure he has all the mobility that KJ Jefferson has.
Right.
And, you know, if Milton gets on the perimeter or if Daniels gets on the perimeter, you can see a corner or a safety coming up and dropping him.
Yeah.
If KJ Jefferson gets out there with that size,
they bounce off of him.
He'll go down.
Yeah.
But he's going to drag him 7 or 8 yards
That's
first.
Right. That's right.
Absolutely. Steve, I'm out of time, man. I want next time we have you on, we'll talk about the opposite of this question as well. Who's going to be the worst quarterback in the SEC this upcoming season? But Steve, thanks so much for your time and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
All right, guys. Hey, enjoy Ole Miss Evie on Thursday.
There we go. All right. Thanks you so much. That's Steve Barnes. He's the senior writer for TheRebelWalk.com. Head on over to TheRebelWalk.com and check out all of the great content they have there on that website. All right. We're going to take a quick time out. When we get back, we've got Todd Mueller, PCB Hobby, Bill. Everyone's here. We're going to be right back. Stick with us.
Your attention, please. ESPN Northwest Florida reminds you it's the law. It's the law. When there's a double red flag, stay out of the water, stick your toes in the sand, grab a cold drink, and listen to live sports.
Swung on, miss, strike 3.
At 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Double play!
Good evening. This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida. For tonight, mostly clear and a low of 81 with a 5 to 10 miles per hour wind out of the west. Mostly sunshine tomorrow morning, a light breeze and very warm near 87. Mostly sunny and 88 in the afternoon and evening. 88 and sunshine with a light breeze Wednesday. This is your Monday's weather sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
With over 65 years of combined experience, Instant Replay Sports Cards is happy to help you take your collection to the next level. They carry all the new hobby boxes, signed memorabilia, and supplies, new and vintage cards, and Pokemon. They sell and trade cards and are always looking to buy. They're an authorized source for Topps, Panini, Upper Deck, and Leaf cards. Instant Replay Sports Cards is open 7 days a week at 752 West 23rd Street, down from Academy Sports. It can always be reached at instantReplaySportsCards.com.
Sizzling hot weather is here. Time to go shopping in some nice air-conditioned surroundings. I know just the place, that boot store. Ooh, it's nice and cool in here with a scent of real leather. Sweet. The western surroundings and huge name brand selections will make you want to buy 4 or 5 outfits for the whole family, from the smallest to the largest. And why not? Their prices are the best in the area. Open Tuesday through Friday, 9 to 5. Friday and Saturday, 9 to 5:30. Remember, God is good all the time. That boot store next to Bill Bird Kia, 15th Street, Panama City.
Don't call it a podcast.
Frequency modulation is a big step forward in radio.
Broadcasting live from the world's most beautiful beaches. The Afternoon Underdogs on ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back as the Afternoon Underdogs, and you're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. It is time for the PCB Hobby Takeover with Tom Mueller and Bill Shriver. What's going on? It's been a long time since we've had you in the studio, Bill, and Todd Mueller. They're the owners of PCB Hobby. What's going on, Todd? What do you got for us today?
What's going on, everybody? We got a lot today. Bill's here with us, and he's ready to run this puppy. We got all kinds of stuff written down, and we got all kinds of stuff to say. I do want to holler out one thing real quick. We had our Pokemon play this last Saturday, and it was fantastic. Lots of kids there, lots of fun. I'm sure that was probably the first thing on Bill's list, so I stole that from him. Scratch that off the top. Other than that, I'm going to pretty much turn it over to Bill, but if anybody has any questions today, please holler out and let us know, and we'll try to do our best to answer it. It's all yours, brother.
Hey, David. Hey, Brian. It's good to see you guys.
Hey, Bill. What's going on?
Right? So, so as Todd was saying, we had our Play Pokemon this last weekend, and we do this once a month. So it's only the third Saturday of every month. We open the shop early in the morning at 8 o'clock, and we invite kids to come in, ages 8 to 12, and learn how to play Pokemon. And so the group has been growing steadily over the last couple of months, and we've had our best turnout ever this last weekend. And so we're really, really happy with that. And that's turning into, future customers for us as well. So it's a kind of a double benefit there. But that kind of leads us into some of the other stuff too. So not only have we been working with the kids, but we've also expanded our evening hours. And so officially we're still open from 10 to 6, Monday through Saturday. But we've been taking on throughout the week additional organized playtime. So for example, Tuesday nights, we're opening up to a group of folks who like to play Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And so Tuesday night is a Yu-Gi-Oh night. And say they play from about 6 till 10:30, 11 o'clock at the shop. And so anybody who wants to play Yu-Gi-Oh can just go onto the website. It's PCBHobby.com. Click on organized play, and they can RSVP for free to come and participate and play in those things. Wednesday nights is Pokemon night for the adults. Friday night is Magic. It's a Friday night Magic. We do a commander set for those folks to come and play. And then on Saturday, we do Vanguard card fight. And that's a kind of a more of a Japanese anime type card set. But those guys come in and play in the afternoons. And then we're looking to expand all this stuff as we go. As new card sets come out, we're joining into different organized play associations and stuff. And probably the most recent one, which we're really proud of, we put a lot of work into this. It was very difficult. But Disney partnered up with a company called Ravensburger, who does puzzles and games and different things. And they're coming out with their own TCG now. It's going to be called Disney Lorcana. And it's coming out in about a month, and it's super hot, and it's a lot of people have been talking about it for months. There are some of the cards that came out last year from Disney and one of the expos sell for $20,000, $25,000 and stuff. So,
oh man,
yeah, pretty exciting stuff. So we're super excited about that.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of fun. I guess I'll ask when it comes to the Wednesday night Pokemon for adults, or it's once a month for Pokemon play for the kids, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Which one? I'm kind of just curious. Like, is it the adults or is it the kids that like that just seem more excited about it?
The kids definitely get excited about it.
Yeah.
So part of our deal with is we're part of Play Pokemon, and so with that comes like special league stuff that we get from Pokemon to give them for prize support that you can't go to the stores and buy.
Gotcha.
And so the kids absolutely love that stuff, and so there's a lot of kids activities that go along with it, other than just playing the game and stuff itself too. So.
That's still, I find that awesome though, that Pokemon's still, kicking like at the level, not just because like with sports cards, it's about the collectability, the value of the card and everything. With Pokemon, you get that and you get the game to play as well.
Yeah, it's still really exciting. There's a lot of people that are going and pulling stuff out of their attics, out of their garages, and bringing in some of those 1995, 1996 cards that, hey, my son or daughter collected these. Are they worth anything? And a lot of times they are. So, yeah. So good value and stuff too.
That's awesome.
We've had a really good summer. The tourist, although I think we've seen some of the numbers down a little bit on the beach on the tourism this year, kind of a little bit this last 2 weeks, which I think may be par for the course for this time of year. But we've had a really good surge at the store. And so thanks to everybody who's been coming into the shop, because we've had, at any given time, this afternoon when Todd and I left, there was 20, 25 people in the shop. And so, it's real nice to see them coming in from, Chicago and Tennessee and, North Carolina.
Yeah.
We're getting folks from all over the place. So it's pretty exciting. So
that is a lot of fun. About time to knock that wall down, huh?
I know. That's coming. I guess you guys have already talked about that.
We have, absolutely.
Yeah, so our expansion is coming, so it's set in stone. So we have crossed the T's, dotted the I's, so to speak, with our property management company, and now we're turning towards demolition and construction work and stuff. So if you guys hadn't heard already, we are expanding our shop. We're going from around 2,500 square feet to right around 4,500, I think, is where we're going to be at. So pretty large for the area, and matter of fact, for the region, we'll probably be one of the larger shops. So pretty excited about that.
Lorcana is going to explode that even more. So
Speaking of Lorcana, we have gotten word of allocations and stuff like that. The allocations are very slim. I just want to make sure everybody knows that. We probably will not be having any booster boxes. However, don't be sad. We have plenty of decks. The decks we found out today have a pack of cards in them.
Boosters and foils.
And foils. And we got some other gift sets and various things coming in as well. So we will have some product. But I just wanted to put that out there because I know we've had a lot of people actually messaging us asking. And so if you're listening right now, there will be probably no booster boxes for Series 1 at this point. However, we did get a lot of other stuff with it. So,
like Todd said, we'll have a lot of starter decks, and the decks are what really we want to kind of drive the organized play anyway. So that's kind of how you learn. It's kind of a pre-configured deck kind of thing. We've had a lot of, we've fairly recently, in the last couple of months, we became Topps MVP pros at the shop. And so we've had a lot of really cool products that have come in. We've got some new stuff in the shop right now. Topps Finest Topps Finest Baseball came in the shop, and it's a really hot product. It's been selling very well. People really love it. Topps Tribute was another one that we picked up that I just absolutely love that product.
Gorgeous stuff.
It's beautiful, right?
Yep.
Panini 2 and 3. It's a really cool product. It comes in this black on black box, and basically it's 5 cards. It's not a lot of cards in it. It's a fairly expensive box, but you're getting probably 2 bangers out of there, and you're getting a pack of 3 cards that could have some really good stuff in them as well.
Nice. Hey,
so it's a
2 out of 5 when you're getting bangers. Let's go.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
It's really nice stuff, and it's very prospect heavy. So your guys who did not start the year on rosters are heavy in that product. So Shots at Ellie and guys like that are really big, even though he's in the bigs now. He wasn't at the beginning of the year. They also lean into a lot of the vets. So guys like me who really, are into the guys that we grew up watching, they have a lot of stuff and products like that. So
it covers the spectrum. Yeah. It gives something for every type of collector, really. So it's a really solid product.
And then just today, finally made its way through the longest journey ever to get to us, Bowman's Best University, which are the first live autograph cards of Victor Wembanyama in shop today. So
why did it take such a long route?
We don't know. The boxes apparently wanted to do a tour across Texas.
It was one of those.
It was a delivery issue.
Oh, gotcha.
But but in a weird way, it's great because a lot of people, who did have them sold out, and now we've got them. And it's a great product. Got Caitlin Clark in there, the Cavender twins in there, Brandon Miller, Scoot, all of the top basketball prospects are in there, in the college unis. And like I said, with Victor, it's his first live autograph product, and he's got base cards and refractors and things. So it's a real hot product, and actually very affordable, for something that's got such a high prospect in it. So that was a fun one that came in today as well.
And kind of moving on to that, one of my thoughts I wanted to kind of talk about was some of the top cards that are out there and things that we're seeing and stuff in the marketplace. And so, there's the card market always goes through ups and downs. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times the product lines and stuff that we're dealing with are seasonally based stuff. And so it's if it's baseball season, then usually baseball's up. But as we come into the All-Star break and stuff, usually things kind of fail off a little bit, and then they pick back up after the break. And as and then it drops again over the summer as football comes in and training camp starts off. But two guys right now that are just absolutely just scorching the sports products are Ellie De La Cruz, which Brian has mentioned several times. His on-the-field antics are just making his cards just go through the roof. I mean, it's crazy. We cannot possibly keep enough of his cards, single cards and grade cards in the shop for people. Every day people come in and say, where's the LA cards, where's the LA cards? And we just can't keep it up. But as Brian mentioned, we did stock the 2022 Bowman Chrome, and that's his Bowman first year. So if anybody wants to come and get that, we have the boxes that have that. Victor is the other one. Victor Summer League was, I think, above expectations. I think he really kind of, some people were naysaying whether he had the skills, and he was small, and, could he really play? And I think his Summer League debut was really kind of, just kind of elevated him again. So you don't feel the same way?
No, I do. You can go either way. I think him just getting and competing around those guys was good. They shut him down a little early. The problem with a guy like Victor is I think what you said is reasonable if we're looking at a normally hype prospect. Victor's hype is so
he's sky high,
beyond the pale. It's almost like there isn't anything he could have done versus posterize everyone in the summer league to maybe look like that. But look, you can't coach 7-5. And, we'll see. Was it the most dominant summer league performance ever? No, certainly was not. But did he get in and get a little bit of time around those guys and kind of get a sense of things? What I think more than anything is I think the Spurs coaching staff got to see exactly what they need to work on with him. And that's why they shut him down early. So
I think you had a guy with
for him.
Yeah, I think you had a guy who's coming in with a lot of pressure on him, right? A lot of cameras on him. All eyes were on him anytime that he was on the court, whether he had the ball or not.
Yeah.
And so I think I personally think he stood out in those possessions. I think he did well, moved the ball around good, shot well, rebounded. He did everything that I expected he was going to do, and he didn't break down in the process. So
he did a wonderful job of blocking out with Britney Spears.
Well, that was the start of the whole thing, right?
Hopefully he could have his security guard on the floor with him at times. But yeah, I think that it definitely helped having the game that was a little subpar. He was dealing with everything, and then to have the 27-point outing, it was like, okay, like there is some real, there's a reality to all of this. Yeah. And his card it doesn't. I think it's a beautiful thing that he gets drafted and has a little bit of time to wait because it's gonna.
And we got 3 of his products. So we got the Bowman U Chrome, the Inception, the Bowman U Inception, and then the Brian mentioned the Bowman Best that just came in today. So you can pick up any of his stuff in those products. And the last one on my list. Well, I had 2 other lists, but for time, the last one on my list. This is my personal favorite. I think he is the best in baseball, period, right now. And that's Shohei Ohtani. He can do no wrong in my eyes. He walks on water. So,
what does a trade do for his sports card value? If he were to get traded, let's say he goes, if he goes to a smaller market.
He's not going to go to a smaller market. Everybody knows what happens to the big boys, and the big boys go to the Yankees. I mean, that's just what happens.
So does his value explode from there?
But I think that if he can perform at the Yankees, I think that his value will just go through the roof. And I think that that's the biggest thing that you really have to look at with him, because I agree with Bill. He's a walk-on-water type guy for me as well. And I think that, his value is just going to keep going up. If he performs at the Yankees, which, again, I'm throwing it out there because I believe that's what happens to all the big guys. They end up at the Yankees. Okay, we can debate Roger Clemens all day long, but in the end, he had great outings at the Yankees in the end, and that's the only thing I think that actually saved his card from just being worth a penny. Really? I really believe that.
Him
being a Yankee, because I just that's my belief. So I think Shohei Ohtani, if he ends up at the Yankees and performs and does what we all know he can do, I think you'll have $50,000 cards of his.
The only thing that could ever spike him negatively in terms of any kind of trade rumors or anything is if they traded him to like the Royals.
Right.
Oh,
right.
man.
Exactly.
You know, a team that could be semi-contending to a team that's not.
That's
going
kind of
to.
what you were saying. What if he went to a small market?
I have an interesting thought here that I actually talked about with one of the customers today. Shohei is on a great pace here. He may be on Aaron Judge's 62 pace for the American League record, right? Mm-hmm. What if he gets traded to the National League?
Right. That'll screw it up.
Record doesn't hold up.
Let's call it what it is. That is a big deal.
That was going to be my one caveat for this whole thing. The only thing I put into this was, doesn't really, for me, the market, I don't think matters.
Right.
Showing what he's done in Anaheim. But he's got to stay on an American League team. Yeah. He cannot go to the National League. And not only for the contention of the record, but also I think his skills and what he brings, being able to pitch and hit. You put him in a National League team, it changes that whole dynamic of how that works. I think so.
Not as bad as it used to be, but certainly I've said since the beginning of the year, I think he's going to end up in Seattle. I still think he's going to end up in Seattle.
That's my favorite for him, too. How would you guys feel about that? Obviously, like you said, with Walk on Water, all of that good stuff, like, Seattle's not a bad landing spot for him, though.
It's not a bad landing spot.
It's just not the Yankees.
It's not the Yankees, number one. But number two, that's a weird one. It's kind of weird that Trout's on the same team as him. It's almost hard to have two really good people. And if Julio Rodriguez actually pans out and does well, I think it would be kind of tough. It might take some of the limelight away from that. And so it's just, again, this is a personal opinion.
Yeah, true.
I would rather him go to a team that has all kinds of stars on it and, again, exceed those stars, and his stuff will go way up. But I'm a money guy. Everybody knows that about me. I'm all about the dollar. And so the fact of the matter is I want Shohei Ohtani to kill it at a star team. That way the dollar goes up for me.
From your perspective, there is no better scenario than him being in the pinstripes.
Yeah.
I mean, it is the biggest.
It is the biggest. So.
Oh, man.
He ain't going to New York, though.
No,
I don't.
And look, I didn't sit there and say that. And I didn't sit there and say he was going to. Right. Yeah. It's the Josh Donaldson thing. Yeah. And look, he's not doing that great right now. But that doesn't even matter. The fact of the matter is Josh made it that 5, 8, 10 years, whatever it was in the league, and then got paid. And got really paid. Yeah. And he should have. And that's just an example of being able to make it that far. You're going to end up on the Yankees most likely, and you're going to be a superstar if you can hold it together. Again, I just think that would be the best stuff for him. But will that happen today? Probably not. And so I'm not putting it out there that that's where he's going. I'm just saying that would be the best market for him as far as financially.
Let me throw one other thing out real quick just to pivot back to the shop that I was thinking of. It's kind of an interesting time right now with what's in shop because we've been picking up a lot of things, like you said, to keep inventory high. There's a good cross-section of stuff in the sports end. Like, there's a lot of this great modern Shohei and Ellie stuff. Just picked up a bunch of old game-used materials of Cobb, Mays,
love vintage,
Hank Aaron, Satchel Paige, a lot of vintage cards, but also a lot of this new, the college stuff and all. There's a real wide range right now in singles that maybe hasn't been there in quite a while. So it'd be a cool time to come out and, at the very least, check out some of the different stuff that's out there.
Bill, do you have any last comments on your list?
No, I think we covered everything. My last thing I was going to say was God bless Ronald Acuna Jr.
Yes, right. I'm with him on that too.
Amen, man. And kind of with baseball players, the rings, it's not like football as much. Is it? And that's more of a question, not a statement. But like a guy like Mike Trout, his card is just as valuable as anyone's out there. It's essentially right. And I mean, what does he have to show for as far as the World Series goes?
That's the funny thing about baseball. The funny thing about baseball is that you can never win, yet you can be a winner.
Yeah.
And it's just the weirdest thing to me. You don't have to have a ring, yet your card can be through the roof. Mike Trout is a prime example of that. I mean, if you look at it, the guy is fantastic, phenomenal, if you took someone like Mickey Mantle, which, I'm sure they won several times. I actually don't know the stats, but I'm sure they did. If he had been on another team, he still would have been a great superstar because it's Mickey Mantle, the player. And so Trout, I think, is the same difference. I mean, I really do. I don't think he has to be on a winning team. However, in football, I actually do believe that. You can't really pin that on and say, I mean, what if Patrick Mahomes had never won any of the thing? Would his value be as high? Well, no. It's
Dan Marino won one. How much more?
Dan Marino, John
Same thing.
Elway. You had to have at least that one win to go down in the history type thing.
Pre-Tom Brady, who was considered the go-to quarterbacks? Joe Montana.
Of course.
Joe Montana, if he hadn't had Super Bowls, was considered average at best number-wise against those guys.
Correct, and I get giddy every time I see one walk through the door.
I love
His
it.
rookie.
Hey, y'all get down to PCB Hobby and get giddy yourself. Just look, everything that they've got in the store. It's great stuff. Bill, Todd, thank you guys so much. It's time for us to play a little high-low. We're looking for caller number 10. Let's play some high-low. We're going to be right back. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida.
The new app from 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida is designed specifically for sports fanatics like you. The sports content you demand is always on. Live stream our national and local sports talk anywhere you go. Reach us on all social media. You can also be a part of the show. Call and text into our studios. Plus, up-to-the-minute weather and traffic maps. The new app from 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida is available at the Apple Store and Google Play.
Good evening. This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida. For tonight, mostly clear and a low of 81 with a 5 to 10 miles per hour wind out of the west. Mostly sunshine tomorrow morning, a light breeze and very warm near 87. Mostly sunny and 88 in the afternoon and evening. 88 and sunshine with a light breeze Wednesday. This is your Monday's weather sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Young Cycle across from FedEx Mosley Drive in Lynn Haven has a fantastic selection of pre-owned Harleys at great prices. Great prices. Don't buy a Harley until you stop by Young Cycle. Young Cycle, a full service department is available too, offering motor trike conversions, parts and accessories. Nothing compares to Harley Davidson and the low prices on pre-owned Harleys at Young Cycle. Young Cycle, 112 Mosley Drive across from FedEx in Lynn Haven.
PCB Hobby, the beach's premier hobby store for sports cards, comics, coins, and trading card games. PCB Hobby carries the largest selection of boxes and packs from the latest releases of brands like Topps, Panini, Leaf, and more. Looking for a specific player or team? PCB Hobby has a wide assortment of raw and graded cards. They carry parallel rookie, game used, and autographed cards in both modern and vintage. Have a collection you want to sell? We buy, sell, and trade. PCB Hobby on Back Beach Road, just east of Florida Linen. Call 850-320-8388.
The Braves are absolutely rolling through the National League with some of the biggest wins and epic moments of the year.
2-2 to Matt, and a rocket to right field. This thing is into orbit. That's on the roof of the Chop House.
Tomorrow night, Ronald Acuna and the Braves take on the National League West Arizona Diamondbacks at Truist Park in Atlanta.
Coverage starts tomorrow night at 6. First pitch at 6:20. On your home for the Atlanta Braves on the Gulf Coast, ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida presents The Blast at Bay Point.
You ready to play some high-low?
Keep listening to win.
I'm gonna try.
The Blast at Bay Point on ESPN Northwest Florida.
All right, we're back. And this is ESPN Northwest Florida. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. It's time for the Blast at Bay Point. We've got Coach Olds. Deshaun, you are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. We'll get him back on with us, though, and we'll play the Blast at Bay Point. 850-21. I'm giving this out all backwards now. I was supposed to do this before the break. 850-215-6290 is the number to call. But don't bother calling because we're looking for caller number, or we've already got our caller number 10, so we're going to get him on the line with us and play a little high-low. Then we're going to dive in to our trivia question since we haven't gotten an answer today, and we're going to be giving away here the Blast at Bay Point.
Deshaun is back.
All right, here we go. Coach Olds. Deshaun, how's it going, Coach? Coach Olds, are you there?
Man, line 2 must have gone out again.
Oh, make sure that make sure that it's turned up for line 2 there. That might be the issue.
Inside baseball.
Yeah, we'll have to do that on the break or something.
All right.
I don't know what's wrong with line 2.
All right, no worries then. We'll try to get Coach. We'll try to get Coach Olds on here, though, and we'll get right back to it. I had the same little issue this morning on the Inside Drive. Don't forget about our 3 fantastic local shows right here on the on ESPN Northwest Florida. The Coach James Hale Show from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Following that is going to be the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey and Jay Henley from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Then we wrap up your Monday afternoon, or your afternoons, from 4 to 6 p.m. right here. The Afternoon Underdogs got Coach Brian Haddad with us. Is swimming going on right now? Like you swimming? Because this is like the time of the year for it. Any updates?
Yeah, I just got back in town from Huntsville, and the crew from Panama City Swim Team was up there, did extremely well over the weekend, and it was about 970 athletes from all across the Southeast there for 3 days, and it was a good time. Kids did well, and it was very, very fast swimming going on up there for sure.
Very fast swimming. Yeah, I was thinking about that. I was like, man, it seems like during the cold part of the year, we're talking more about swimming than what we are in this time of the year. So kudos to those athletes.
Indoor, baby.
Yeah, indoor. Wait,
not here.
Yeah, not here though. Frank Brown, it gets a little chilly out there. Is the pool heated?
Yes, it is. But
the outside's not.
No,
what
it's like I always told people when they asked about, they were like, is the pool heated? I was like, yeah, but not for me.
Yeah, right. What do you wear on the deck? Do you just wear shoes, flip-flops? A lot.
When it's 40 degrees, it's blowing 15 or 20, and it's raining, you can't have enough clothes on.
That is
true. You just can't. And
especially with that
It's
wind
amazing
chill.
how little the kids get out to go to the restroom all of a sudden in the winter.
Yeah.
You kind of find out they didn't need to go. Or worse for wear, they might just be going in the pool.
It would help warm it up, right? If everyone joins in the task.
The funny thing was, so I moved from Nashville, Tennessee to here when I was coaching, and I did not own a parka or anything really heavy. And people are like, how in the world? It snows in Nashville. I'm like, I coached indoors. I would walk through the snow for 5 seconds in my shorts and go to work. So I actually had to buy a lot of cold weather clothing when I moved to Florida because I was outside all year.
It's like the opposite. You get you some duck hunting clothes or whatever, always prepared, no doubt. 850-215-6290 is the number to call tomorrow are we going to take another call?
We got him back.
Oh, we got him back.
There we go.
Perfect. Man, all right. Coach Olds. Coach, how's it going? Let's play a little high-low here. How many takeout orders did Barbaritos on 23rd Street have last Saturday night?
I want to say I was one of 60 takeout orders.
60?
Yes.
Is it 60?
That is too high.
Ooh, Coach Olds, just a little too high right there, but listen to that game show music that Bone Crusher has provided us with. Coach Olds, have you already played the Blast at Bay Point?
No, I have not.
All right, then. Do me a favor and you hang on the line because you've just got a consolation prize, a large bucket of balls on the driving range out there at Bay Point Golf Club. Thanks so much. Hang on the line and Bone Crusher will take care of you, okay?
Thank you.
All right, Coach Olds there with the consolation prize. Just a little too much there. Your next chance to play the Blast at Bay Point is going to be tomorrow at 8:40. When you hear the cue to call, be caller number 10, 850-215-6290. Last week's winner was Don Walton right here, PCB. He's the latest winner of a round of golf for him and a guest at Bay Point Golf Club. The more you listen, the better your chance of guessing the right number in high-low. We're going to have a new number to guess every Monday, and your next chance to play high-low is 8:40 in the morning on the Coach James Hale Show. All right, so let's kind of dive back into that trivia question. We're not going to take a winner for it. Now, you did look at the question, so now you know the answer.
Yeah, I do. I would have gotten one for sure. Well, two for sure.
So the trivia question is the 4 Braves players with at least 30 home runs and 30 stolen bases in the same season.
All right, so let's go through it. The one that's the most obvious in terms of modern times is obviously Ronald Acuna Jr.,
right,
which I would have gotten.
Right.
I also would have gotten, because he was one of my two heroes growing up, Don Mattingly being the other, but Dale Murphy. Back-to-back MVPs, 82 and 83. 83 is the year that he did it. I would have known that. And it was odd because he was such a big guy, you wouldn't think he was fast, but he was able to steal bases. Ron Gant, I should have got, and he's the only one on this list to have done it twice. 90 and 91. Worst and first of the years. The one that is amazing that I wouldn't have gotten, and I should have, because he is extremely well-rounded, and I knew that, and it's one of the things that really a lot of people don't know in it, because everyone thinks home runs. Hank Aaron.
Yeah.
And people forget what a well-rounded player he was, because, and for some people, all the footage they've seen of him is hitting 715. He was an older guy by then.
Yeah.
So, but no, he was a extremely well-rounded five-tool player, if you will, back in the day, and so it makes sense. But yeah, those are four greats. I mean, Ron Gant maybe doesn't hold quite the same lore, but he was a tremendous ball player on those early Braves teams of the 90s.
And a guy that really doesn't resonate much with me, because talking with Adam Goff, he was like, he's a big Reds fan.
Yeah.
But had Ron Gant not gotten into that motorcycle accident, who knows? I mean, who knows which direction his career would have
He was one of the first guys, it seemed like, who really pivoted into being like uber fit.
Yeah.
Like he was cut and fit and very muscular, not in a steroids way, just some of the early 80s guys looked like they just crawled out of the bar. Some of them might have.
Hey, you got Bo, you got Dion, but a little different. But Dion wasn't as cut up.
But Gant looked, I mean,
up,
he wasn't Bo, but he kind of had that look about it. He looked very cut. In fact, I think it caused him some injury issue, quite frankly, in his career. He was a tremendous ball player. I mean, he really was. He was quick. He had great power, obviously. I mean, he struck out a bit, but no, he was a wonderful player, and I just remember that about him. He was just kind of a physical specimen.
Well, we're approaching the trade deadline. We've got about 14 days to go. Which team is more likely here to blow it up in the National League, the Mets or the Padres?
It should be the Cardinals.
Well, yeah, they are, though. They've already came out and said we're selling.
Yeah.
But if you're one of these two teams, and you're like the Padres, I think, are sitting fourth in the NL West right now. You've got the Mets, who are sitting fourth in the NL East right now. Which you've got Verlander, you've got Scherzer. I don't think that they're going to do anything with Alonso. I don't think they'll do anything with Verlander because they just got him last year. But also, I don't think that the Mets are going to do anything except for maybe try to buy some more, because Steve Cohen doesn't seem like the owner who's going to throw in the white towel.
And it's weird because you think about it, and I mean, the Mets make sense because they're older and you could blow them up. And, Verlander probably has hung on a little too long. Scherzer just, I don't know, for whatever reason is not clicking. Yeah, you don't want to move off a guy like Pete Alonso. I don't know if it's the Mets. The Padres, to me, it would be insane to blow it up because those guys are all still so young. Mm-hmm. I mean, Soto's younger than some of the guys who are just getting called up now. I mean, people think he's this, wily old veteran. What's he, 24? 25?
He might be
a young
25.
guy.
He might be.
Tatis, a young guy. So I don't know.
Bogarts is probably like the wily vet.
Yeah,
if you will.
to me, with the Padres, you might need a few little tweaks here and there, and quite frankly, you may have to revamp the coaching department.
Ooh,
because
it's 24,
it's young and the talent's there. I mean, I don't know if I'd blow up the Padres. I think you just got to figure out what's not clicking and go with it.
And then you look at the division, and they're 10 games back right now.
Mm-hmm.
The Padres are in the National League West. The Dodgers have now taken over the lead in the West, which all is right there. It seems the Giants now in second, and the Diamondbacks are in third. There, very close race, but I think we both could see a world where the Padres make up 7-8 games and finish second and find themselves in a wild card seed.
I think so. They just need a little bit more balance, and the only argument you can make for blowing up the Padres is because so many of those talents are young, you could probably get a ton for them.
Yeah.
So I get it. I would not blow up the Padres. I think what they've got to do, I don't think their issue is going to be a payroll imbalance either. I just think they need to make a few tweaks. They might need to make a coaching change or two, and they've got to get one or two better arms in there. But, I don't know. I mean, it's interesting just to think, we're in the day and age of this. I'm still upset the way the Cubs did it, after the 16 team.
Oh, yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
I know why that one made sense in the modern game. But my mindset's not a modern game. My mindset is still the guys who, even though, look, the 80s had plenty of free agency. But generally speaking, the best players were almost lifers.
Yeah.
And I miss those days. And I understand why it's not the way it is anymore. But if you had a guy who truly ran to the end of his contract and moved somewhere else, that's totally different than blowing up an entire team at the trade deadline. And, from a business perspective, I understand it. And you can absolutely maximize on your return at the trade deadline because people are looking for that last piece. But, God, it just seems rough. If you were a Cubs fan and you finally got that World Series and then they just kind of blew up what was there, it's just... that still bothers me, and I'm not a huge Cubs fan.
Yeah, I know. I feel for Max Delighten and some of the other Cubs fans that I do know. But let's talk about a sport that hasn't changed that drastically over a large amount of time. We're approaching the fourth major here in the world of golf, the Open Championship, which is going to be at Royal Liverpool. Rory McIlroy just got done winning the Scottish Open. What's the chances that Rory repeat or goes back to back here?
I don't know that it's happened a lot where they win back-to-back, but generally speaking, people who've played well in the Scottish Open have done very well.
Yeah.
So it could be good for him. Obviously, I think Liverpool's where he won his Open Championship. The reason I remember that, I think he made a statement about being a Manchester United fan, which is rule number one you don't do in Liverpool. I think he actually got booed when he did that in his trophy speech, which was funny, and he kind of laughed it off. So obviously you'd have to say he's up there amongst one of the favorites if he's coming off a win and on a course where he won his Open Championship. But the Open Championship is a unique event, and guys can win out of nowhere in this tournament, more so than just about any other field in golf. And so it just kind of depends who catches the right wind conditions with their groups on the first 2 days and who's got their imagination working at full tilt, because if you're going to win in this tournament, you've got to have a good imagination.
And we are out of here. Coach James Hale Show is going to be live at 7 a.m. tomorrow. The Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey at 11 a.m. And we'll be back tomorrow at 4. Y'all have a great day. See ya. Fine Bombs up next.
ESPN Northwest Florida presents The Blast at Bay Point. Listen to Win Your Tee Time at the legendary Bay Point Golf Club in beautiful Panama City Beach.
You ready to play some high-low?
I'm going to try.
Listen weekdays at 8:40, 12:40, and 5:40 to play high-low for a chance to win 18 holes at Bay Point Golf Club.
I tell you what, you're going to enjoy it. You're going to love it.
Listen to Win the Blast at Bay Point from ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good evening. This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida. For tonight, mostly clear and a low of 81 with a 5 to 10 miles per hour wind out of the west. Mostly sunshine tomorrow morning, a light breeze and very warm near 87.